Welcome to this webinar, this Discover Q3 update. Just so you guys know, I did not invite the whole world to this. So this is a smaller group of users who have been in Discover and maybe a few others, but a much smaller group than we normally have by design. I hope to have a discussion towards the end of the webinar and to have it be much more of a casual webinar, kind of like a fireside chat, especially towards the end. So we'll see how that goes. Well, I'm Justin Luster. If you don't know me, I'm a vice president of product and marketing at Sawtooth Software. The marketing part just got added, so I'm trying to figure that out a little more. And it dawns on me that you can have the greatest product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, not too helpful. So we got to have both great product and marketing. I'm joined today by Skylar Karchner. Skylar, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I am one of the UX designers at Sawtooth Software. So I work with our stakeholders in the company, and I'm looking through the attendees, and I'm seeing several of you that I've met with before to refine some of these features. And so a lot of the things that we're going to present today are things that I've worked on this last quarter. So pretty exciting.
Cool. Yeah. And Skylar, feel free to jump in anytime. And also, kind of want to treat this like we're all in person. And so if you have a comment you'd want to make, we can handle chats, but I'd almost prefer that we turn on your microphone and let you ask the question and kind of introduce yourself to the group. Again, a little more casual than we normally do for webinars. So Skylar, if you could kind of keep an eye out for people, maybe you chat first and say, I have a question, and you can jump in, and then we'll unmute you and you can ask the question. We'll just go from there. Okay, so agenda. I want to peel back the covers a little bit and kind of show you a little bit about what our vision is and what our process is, and kind of a little bit more about our team, so you have a little bit more of an understanding about us. I will then get into kind of a review on what we've done in Q3 and our roadmap for Q4, and then hope to have an open discussion at the end. So looking forward to it. So let's talk about our vision. So as you may know, Sawtooth Software has been in business for a very long time. 40 years, actually. This year marks 40 years. Like, we were in business before the internet. It's mind-blowing. And recently, right, we have had this desire to get more modern in our look and feel, more user-friendly, and on the web. And wow, it's a challenging transformation. I strongly believe that's where we need to be, and to improve the experience for all of our users. So we actually built Discover quite a number of years ago, but 2.5 years ago, we decided to redo it. So we started the first version of Discover, which we now call Legacy Discover, was more 3 people kind of building a prototype. And once we saw the possibilities and the traction, we decided with a lot of encouragement from our engineers, to basically start over from scratch, so that we didn't have to depend on any kind of legacy code. If you're familiar with Lighthouse Studio, it has its whole runtime version of code that was built in Perl. And the first version of Discover heavily relied on that. And we didn't want to be tied down to that going into the future. So 2.5 years ago, we start out on this journey of basically rebuilding Discover from scratch. And that's where we are now. So this is the current version of Discover. Anyway, so Discover vision. We will build the most trusted and friendly survey-based research platform on Earth to help organizations make the right data-driven decisions. And that's really the most important part here on this slide is that we want to build a trusted and friendly, most trusted and friendly on earth survey platform. So I think we've made a great start, but we have a lot more work to do. One of the core trademarks or traits of this product will be that it will be the best in the world at choice analytics, which means conjoint analysis, MaxDiff, trade-off analysis, that type of thing. But it's very important that we will not just be really good at that. We're also going to have a general survey tool, a powerful general survey tool that can do all your other types of surveys as well. And for this reason, you don't have to link from 2 or 3 different platforms. Our vision is that you could do everything that you want, most everything that you want in Discover. So that number 2 will be the most open and customizable interviewing platform in the world for both standard surveys and choice analytics. And then this platform will give our users superpowers, enabling them to brilliantly do their work. I think it's important that you understand our vision, kind of where we're going. And we'd really appreciate the collaboration, right? If you're like, hey, if you did this, you would give me more superpowers to brilliantly do my work. That's the type of feedback we would love. This is a screenshot from one of our internal documents where we're talking about the attributes of Discover. It needs to be friendly, have friendly authoring, it needs to be powerful, it needs to be customizable, secure, efficient and scalable data collection. Onto the respondent experience, right? When respondents take your surveys, this needs to be an amazing experience. It needs to be zippy fast, mobile friendly, accessible to those with disabilities, and modern and beautiful. So these are our goals that we're striving towards. We made a lot of progress, but we have more work to do. Skylar is actually a very talented UX user experience designer. And a lot of what you're seeing in Discover is because of him and Nate Lords, our other designer. They are doing an excellent job making it modern and beautiful, but also very friendly and easy to use. Let me explain a little bit about our development process. You might be familiar with Scrum. Scrum is a software development process that we have actually more recently adopted. We're kind of late to the game with Scrum and Agile. But at the beginning of this project, 2.5 years ago, we not only started over from scratch, but we also decided to adopt Scrum and also to hire UX designers and do things a little bit differently, more modernly than we've done in the past. So Scrum is an Agile framework. Agile software development is where you build a little bit, you ship it, you show customers what you built, you get feedback, and then you iterate. So a lot more talking to customers we hope to do. And it's taken a while to kind of get to where we're at now. And it's really fantastic to see where we're at now. We're just humming this flywheel of progress. One of the coolest things is, so every 2 weeks, we have this chunk of work. So we plan our work for a 2-week increment. And then we review what we did at the end of 2 weeks. And hopefully we can ship at the end of those 2-week increments. But what's super cool is that when that 2-week increment ends, there's already been quite a bit of work preparing for the next chunk of work. So it's just this great momentum. It's taken us a while to get there, both just kind of working with people and with the team, but also our technology. We've had to do a huge investment of our technology to be able to release the software often. I mean, we can release the software now multiple times per day, whereas before we could only release every 3 months. So anyway, it's an exciting thing. A little bit about our team, right? We have product managers now, product manager, right? That kind of helps make the decisions on what we do next. We have these user experience designers. We have really great software developers, really intelligent, smart folks. We have internal stakeholders that help guide us and external stakeholders, which are you, our users. Any questions to this point? Skyler, do you see anybody's hand going up or anybody?
Not yet.
Okay, so hopefully that was helpful just to kind of see what's going on here. The results, I'll let you know that over 5,000 users have signed in to Discover just this year alone. So we're seeing a lot of traction and also a lot of activity at universities as well as the commercial side. Okay, so maybe you didn't come to this webinar to hear all of that, but decided to share it. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what we've done in Q3. In Q3, we finished up this thing called dynamic lists. Many of you might know that as kind of carry forward items, and I'll show you some of that. We just shipped the ranking question like yesterday or the day before, and I'll show you that. We just shipped test survey, and I'll show you that. We've shipped crosstabs. We now have the ability to interpolate, extrapolate in the simulator. You can copy questions. Skylar, I don't think we quite shipped filtering. I didn't see that last night. Do you know where we're at on that?
It should be available by the end of today.
Okay, so it's close. This isn't probably as much filtering as you'd like, so don't get too excited. But the main point here was that by default, we would just be looking at the completed surveys, not the incompletes. You can still see data from the incompletes, but we were hearing from customers that most often you just want to look at the results of the completes. So that's the default. I'd also like to let you know that we did some significant work on building up a European Discover instance. What this means is if your data needs to stay in Europe due to GDPR and stuff, you can put your survey on the European Discover instance. That is not completely finished yet, but very close. And so if you are on this call and you're interested in this, let me know, and we can work towards getting your survey in Europe. Okay, time for a demo. So I'm going to open up Discover here. Oh, my paper fell over there. Okay, so as you may know, in order to get to Discover, you go to discover.sawtoothsoftware.com. And if you don't have an account, you can use a free one. You essentially have all the features for free. The limitation is you can't collect more than 50 data records per survey. But other than that, you can give it a real test drive. So encourage you to do that. I'm assuming most of you have already done that and are familiar with Discover. So this webinar is not meant to introduce you to Discover, more to kind of show you our progress. Okay, so let's start with dynamic lists. I have a dynamic list example that I've already set up here called vacations. And just have a select question, multi-select question. Where would you consider going on vacation? And what I now want to do is show you, I want to show you how to build a question that follows this one that just has the items they selected from this question. So I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to click a single select. And I'm going to call this, I don't know, best vacation. And which vacation would you like best? Okay. And now I'm going to, I can either type in a list here or I can choose a pre-built list. And so I'm going to click this down arrow. Now, you know, I have a few lists already built here. There's a restaurant list, an activity list. This vacation list is the one you see above here. But we also have this button here called Carry Forward Items. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to select where do I want to carry forward the items from? Well, I want this from the prior question called Vacation Possibilities. And then I can select if I want to get the items that were selected by the respondent or the items that were not selected by the respondent. So I'll go selected by the respondent and I'll click save. And here you can see that we built this question. These guys are kind of grayed out, these options here. And we also have a note up here. So what you're seeing here in the preview is not what you will see during runtime on the survey, because this depends on what they answer on the prior question, if that makes sense. So I'm going to click on this new test button that we just introduced. So you can click test. And you can see here in test mode, we have this bar across the top where you can skip to anywhere in the survey that you'd like to skip, so you can test easier. And you can also copy a test link that you can send out to your stakeholders to check out the survey before you go live. Okay, so vacations, where would you consider going on vacation? Let's say Italy, really like Italy, Hawaii, Mexico. I probably choose everything, but let's keep it at 3. And then I'll click next. So you can see here that only 3 of these items showed up, the ones that I selected: Italy, Hawaii, and Mexico. I'm going to back up. Other specify, right? So let's type in Argentina. I actually spent a few years in Argentina. So I'd like to go back to Argentina on vacation. And if I click next, you will see that now what I typed in, Argentina, is now in the option list. Okay. What if I don't select anything? This survey actually is requiring me to select one thing. And so I'm going to select Mexico. And since the next question is a single select question, it would look kind of funny to say, which is your favorite, place to visit? And there's only one option, Mexico, and you have to answer it. So we would expect the next question to actually be auto-skipped. And it is. We end the survey. So that gives you a little taste of how easy and beautiful it is. And thanks, Skylar and Nate, for helping us do this, but how easy and beautiful it is to build a carry forward list, or something we call a dynamic list. Now, you can do more than just, that's the easy way, but there's more functionality behind building these lists on the fly. And so I can get there by clicking this edit list here, or I can jump into this list manager up here on the tools area. Okay, so let's jump in here. So this kind of quick, we call that the quick carry forward, built a dynamic list behind the scenes. So this is how it works, right? You have, if you're familiar with Lighthouse Studio, you can build all kinds of lists on the fly from a source list. So it selected the source list as this vacation list that has all the items that I typed in here. And then below it, it's built like a subset, a dynamic list that can be built on the fly, depending on what happens when you take the survey. So it said instruction was carry forward items from the vacation possibilities, the items that were selected by the respondent. But you could add more power here. You could add an instruction that says, okay, so it's basically top to bottom, and these start out empty. So the very first thing, the vacation list is what you can choose from, but there's nothing in the list. And then what it does is it carries forward all the items from the vacation possibilities that they selected. And then we can do more things. We can say, okay, I now want to randomize the items, right? Or you can say, I actually, if they select Hawaii, I don't want it in there. So remove items, and I'm going to remove from the parent list. You kind of have to say from which list. And then I'm going to say Hawaii. So even if they select Hawaii, I don't want it to show up in the question that follows. Let's see if that works. Any questions yet, Skylar?
No, we don't have any.
Okay, so I'm going to click Italy, Hawaii, New York, and Mexico. And if you remember, I don't want Hawaii to show up, even though they selected it. Okay, only has Italy, New York City, and Mexico, no Hawaii. So, Jeff Schul raised a hand. Great, our first guy. So let's let's see if we can unmute him. Skylar, can you do that, or do I need to unmute him?
It looks like you're going to have to
Okay, so Jeff, I'm gonna click allow to talk. I'm just gonna click allow to talk to everybody. So Jeff, go ahead and start asking your question.
I was willing to wait. I apologize for interrupting. It was about the single select question following a dynamic list.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to make sure my mic was working. If you select one response in the dynamic list, the following single response question is skipped. How's that recorded in the data? Is it recorded as having been skipped, or is it recorded with that single response having been selected?
I believe it's auto answered. So it would select that single response behind the scenes and answer it, and then, move on.
Perfect. That's all I needed.
Great. I did allow everybody to speak. And so again, more casual webinar than we normally do. So yeah, maybe raise your hand. Skylar can watch out for that. And then we can have you talk. Okay. So I got to move on from that, but a lot of power there with the dynamic lists, and we'll be adding more power soon. Let me show you this ranking question that we just added. So I'm going to click on the add button, and I'm going to click on ranking. And then I am going to say sort the restaurants from best to worst. And I'm going to select the restaurant list that I already had in here, but you can always copy and paste and put in images, whatever you want. So you can see here from on the right-hand side, the preview of how this ranking question will work, right? And so you can drag and drop items like this. And you could also use the drop down if you're like, I want to make this guy number one, then it would go to the top. So let's just click test. And I just want to show you this new test mode. I don't want to go through all these other questions. I just want to jump right to my my new ranking question and test it. Right? So that's an example of jumping ahead. And I'll say, okay, I like actually Thai. Thai is my favorite. And then we'll move on. This format is really helpful for mobile, which I'm guessing many of your respondents are doing, as you can see. And if you have a big list and you're down at American Diner, it's just so much easier to kind of pick the drop down than it is to drag and drop when you're trying to scroll up and down on your phone. If that makes sense. So the reason we have both things there is just for accessibility and ease of use. Okay, so that was a quick on ranking. Ranking, we just shipped it. Right now, you have to rank all the items like you see, but we are next up for us, and hopefully soon, we'll be able to allow you to have people rank just the top N. So here's a big list of items. Please rank the top 3 items. That will be coming very soon. Just a question to the audience. Most of the time, which do you use most of this time with ranking? Do you use rank all most of the time, or do you use rank top N most of the time? And you could answer in the chat if you wanted to. Skylar, keep an eye out for the chat, and I'll move on. So you might not know this, but you can now copy questions. So here's this ranking question, and I'll click the ... and I can say duplicate question if I really like this question, but I just want it slightly different. So it duplicates there below. That's a newer theme that we've done. Okay. So I've shown you dynamic lists, ranking. I showed you test survey. And now I'll move into crosstabs. Going to open up this vacation crosstab example. So I have a survey here. I ask people's age, their gender, vacation time of vacation they have, their favorite vacation, activities they like to go on, and favorite food, and have them rate restaurants, okay? So I'll click at the data tab here. You'll see that I have 11 records, so this is a small test survey. And then I'm going to go into analysis. And you can see we have just general analysis for individual questions here on the left, but we've also added this new crosstabs section. I'm going to delete this one. Okay, so crosstabs section here, we're going to click on plus. I'm trying to get, okay. Click on plus. And there's some options over here. We got rows and columns. So I'm going to click on rows, and I'm going to look at, I want in my rows the age. And I also want to then click columns. Sorry. I'm going to click in my rows, favorite vacation and favorite food. And then in my columns, I'm going to select age and gender. And then I'm going to click update. And you can see here a crosstab, right? So we have favorite vacation here on the left. And for each kind of row here, we have a whole another crosstab table. So here is favorite vacation, and here is favorite food. And then you can see as you go here to the right, it's crossed by age and also gender. And then here, age and gender would be repeated for each item here on the left. On the calculations, you can change what's displayed here in the table. And then you can also download it to Excel. Okay, I'm looking at my clock here and kind of going quick here, but this is crosstabs. Any questions, Skylar, or comments?
No. Oh, Jeff Hudson just raised his hand.
Jeff, if you can just unmute, that would be great. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do a ton of filtering and kind of what if analysis on crosstabs. Is that something that, and feeding variables in? So is that something that will show up at some point? Or maybe
this is kind of like step one into crosstabs, and we'll be making it more powerful as time goes on, but we need your feedback, right? We need you to kind of test it out a little bit and say, gee, I really like this, but if you could add a little bit more, that would be great.
And I've definitely jumped in and played around with it.
Okay, when you talk about bringing in, are you talking about bringing in external data to do segmentation, or is it data from the survey?
It's data from the survey that, well, it's external in that there's calculations I do in the data that, for instance, you answer a series of questions on financial well-being. There's a calculation that I do kind of offline and then feed it back in saying, okay, well, what are the financial well-being scores of each participant?
Yeah, so this feature we call importing external data, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it a little bit later. There's actually a workaround to that right now that I can show you, but we will be putting it inside Discover probably in Q1. We have to do some refactoring work first, but it's on schedule for Q1 of next year. I will also add another thing we want to do is build internal variables so that you could actually do your calculations real time in the survey and create a new variable based on input in the survey, create a new variable, maybe do your calculations. I don't know. But
that would be awesome.
Using JavaScript, and don't get scared when I say JavaScript, it would be maybe similar to some of your Excel stuff, and you could do it all real time.
You can probably hear my head nodding. Thank you.
I can't hear your head nodding, but so you have to say something like, my head's nodding. Anyway, we had another question.
It was for me, but you answered it, Justin. Thank you. I was trying to think ahead to some of those custom variables. I do a lot of using survey questions to make custom banner points, but you answered that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when that's coming, but it is coming. If you click Create here on Tools, you'll see there's a variable manager. And right now, this is for passing variables into the survey, but eventually you'll be able to just click, make any old random variable you want, do calculations, and assign to it. We are doing work this coming quarter in Q4 that will enable JavaScript and basically pave the road for this. So it's on its way.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that's a nod to making this powerful, right? We want to make it beautiful and simple, but powerful. And that's a challenge, right? Because a lot of times when you add power to software, you make it unusable. And so with our great UX designers, we're going to make it both powerful and usable. Okay, any other questions before we move on?
Yes, from John.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, quick question. You will be adding stat testing to this at some point?
Yeah, we were considering adding it on this first release, but kind of got complicated based on a lot of different people had different ideas on how we should do it.
Yeah.
And it was my decision just to say, you know what? And it's so hard to be a product manager because you're like, what should we do with the time allotted? You know, how much should we spend here? How much should we spend there? And ultimately we punted on that, but we want to do it. So please send me an email, justin@sawtoothsoftware.com, requesting exactly what you'd like to see. And Skylar knows very well stat testing was something. Skylar, can you confirm this? We were heavily looking at, but we kind of dropped it at the very last minute.
Yeah, it was fun when we started talking to a bunch of different people. Everybody, like Justin said, everybody had slightly different ways of wanting to do it. So,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So anyway, the more we can kind of figure out the best way to do it, that would be great. It's not going to make everybody happy. You can export this right out to Excel and do your own testing, but we will add that. Yes, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
I'm seeing the chat is actually disabled, but people are putting some questions in the Q&A. Zhaowen asked, is there a way to combine some categories and column variables and crosstabs?
Yes, good question. Also, something we heavily considered. We are doing a data refactor this quarter that will prepare the way for that and prepare the way for more segmentation. So we know that's a very strong desire, but haven't done it yet. But yeah, it's on its way.
Awesome. They also asked, is there an ability to use quotas in crosstabs?
I think so.
I can answer. We don't have quotas yet, but
well,
I think that's something that again we'll have planned to allow to be used in crosstabs eventually.
Okay, so we can ask. We do have quotas, but
we do have.
You can't put a quota in a crosstab.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to do that as well. So again, we've made some progress, but we got more work to do. Great questions.
And then a question from Lou Tucci. Can Lighthouse Studio project data be imported?
No, I'm sorry, but we don't have a plan for that. Anything could be done, but right now we're opting not to spend time on that.
And then another question from Leo: will multiple response data be part of crosstabs?
Skylar, remind me, did we not include that?
I'm trying to remember if that is available. It's been a minute since we've done crosstabs now.
I believe you can do that. We could, multi-select here, activities. So you can include activities in here, and I'll click update, and we do have multi-select, right? So, okay, but yeah, just we don't have a ton of time to dig into everything, but please send me an email, justin@sawtoothsoftware.com, and we'll continue to iterate part of this agile process and just make it super sweet. Okay, I'm gonna move on. So I want to show you the other thing that we did this last quarter, which is interpolate, extrapolate with CBC. So I'll just show you that quick. I'm going to jump into my cell phone example, and I'm going to click on analysis. And then I'm going to click simulator. So I'm guessing most of you are familiar with conjoint analysis, but here is where we have the simulator where we can build products down below here and see the simulated share of preference up above. So by default, when we ask the pricing question, for example, when we add price to a conjoint exercise, we have distinct price points, right? And this one, it's 350, 450, all the way up to 950. So those are the price points that we measured in the tasks. But what if what if after data collection, we really wanted to check out what, say, like an $800 price point would do? Well, we haven't measured, we didn't include that in the levels of price, but using interpolation, we should be able to look at that. So let's see that. Click on the gear icon, and we're going to come here to price, and we're going to say you are a continuous attribute. And then we enter in the prices, right? 350, 450 to 950, and then save changes. And so when we do that, we now can still select, and I'll just do that really quick. We can select the discrete points, but we can also come in here and just type in, let's just type in that 800. And it works, right? So this is giving us a simulation based on a typed in interpolated value, and we can extrapolate. We don't highly recommend it because it becomes inaccurate, but we have a little warning here for extrapolation, but you're able to extrapolate as well. So that was my quick tour of interpolation, extrapolation, continuous variables in the simulator. So that was a wrap for Q3. I now want to move back to my slides and show you what Q4 looks like. Okay, so discover Q4 roadmap. And I have this big ugly slide here to get your attention. Warning, we cannot guarantee anything in Q4, and it's totally true. Software development is really, really hard to predict. We're getting a little better at it, but it's really hard to predict, and generally it takes a lot longer than we plan, usually, sadly. Also, priorities can change. We try, from our efficiency momentum standpoint, we try to kind of nail down what we're going to do in Q4, and don't like to change it too much, but anything can happen, right? Something important could happen, and we might have to change our plans. So plans can change, hard to hit goals. One of the first things we want to do is close survey. Having a lot of people say, gee, how do I close my survey? What you can do right now, it's a hack, but you can add a piece of skip logic in at the beginning of your survey, and you can skip everybody coming into your survey to a terminate question. That's a workaround for now. But much better than that would be to have a button. Skylar doesn't know this, but last night I went into his Figma. So we use a program called Figma to basically design the software with these images before we actually develop it. So what you're seeing here is a screenshot of what we might do. Again, no plans. It's just kind of peeling back the covers to let you kind of look at our process a little bit. So here is a tentative design for how closed survey would work. And it's just the simple button, close survey, and you can show a message to all respondents that they're entering the survey. Skylar, are you mad at me?
No, not at all. This is Nate's design, so.
Oh, okay. Again, I'm trying to say, Skylar, no promises, but here's what we are tentatively thinking of. And this iterates. Okay. So other thing we're planning on doing, again, plans could change, but multiple questions per page, which you can't do right now. And so I wanted to kind of show you behind the scenes kind of how it looks. In Figma, there's notes on how things would look. And it's kind of hard to see here, but you can put there's this gray and this white. You'll be able to put multiple questions on the same page. We are planning on spending fairly significant investment in allowing custom CSS and JavaScript. This actually, as our discussion today, right, this is going to be a good framework for building those variables on the fly and being able to assign. So, based on some input in the survey, run a calculation and have the result be saved into a variable, and then using that variable in analysis or in the survey later on. What this also will do is allow you to do little, visual tweaks, hide things, put more padding on things. It essentially allows you to tweak things before we actually get to them. And those of you that have used Lighthouse Studio, you know what I'm talking about. So we plan on bringing this to Discover so that Discover can realize its vision of being powerful. But We also want to, make it easy through checkboxes and other things, but this is just basically additional power. Anyway, so this is kind of a look of what that might look like. You'll be able to put in custom CSS and custom JavaScript. Let me give you an example. Right now, we have a client who always likes to remove our progress bar, and we don't have a checkbox yet that says remove progress bar. So until then, you can use a little bit of CSS to hide the progress bar yourself. That's an example of just kind of the flexibility that this will give you to do things before we actually get to them. Side note, we are thinking about adding that remove progress bar checkbox very soon. Okay, tooltips is in our plans, and here is the kind of Figma screenshot here. We plan on making this more usable than we have in the past, where you should be able to highlight some text and provide a tooltip message there on the left, and then on the right is what respondents would see when they mouse over your tooltip. Having a lot of requests for tooltips. CBC dual response none. We are in the planning phases of this right now and could actually start work on it today and part of this 2-week Scrum sprint increment. So it may look something like this, where you can choose dual response none, and then you can provide down here below the text, would you actually buy the thing that you selected in the conjoint tasks or not? And we are also flirting with the idea of allowing this to be a scale, not just yes, no, but like on a scale from 1 to 5, how likely would it be that you would like to purchase this item is something that we're considering. Okay, gonna pause here for questions before we go into tips and tricks. Skylar, can you help me out here? Any?
Yeah, there are no questions right now.
Okay. Yep, chat is disabled. I'm just looking in the past here. Use the Q&A. Use the Q&A button. Yep. Okay, so I'm not too impressed with my tips and tricks here. They could have been better, but here we go. So being able to import external data is something that we're having a lot of requests for, and it's not available right now in Discover. There's a fairly solid workaround for being able to bring in external data and being able to segment by that for both MaxDiff and Conjoint analysis. I have a video that I can share with you that shows you exactly how to do this workaround. It involves exporting your scores or Conjoint utilities and using we have a standalone analyzer, a standalone area called app.sawtoothsoftware.com, where you can basically move your analysis into the standalone application. And in there, you can actually import external data and do your segmentation. With MaxDiff, it's really straightforward. With Conjoint, it requires an additional step that I can help you with. So reach out to me if you want to do this type of stuff now. And this is probably coming in Q1 of 2024 to do it a lot simpler just inside Discover itself. Okay, here is just something else that I remind you of, that we have piping. So you can see the syntax here, curly brace, and then get label, and then it says get the label of the color question, and then it has curly brace on the right. When this runs through the survey, it will be replaced by the answer to the color question. Okay, so maybe their favorite color was red. This will show red instead of that code. And this is all JavaScript. So you can actually do more powerful things than some of these functions that we provided. You can do a little bit of math in here. Again, don't be afraid of JavaScript. It can get really complicated, but there's very simple JavaScript that's very similar to kind of code or formulas that you would type into Excel, simple math and division and things. So it can be simple, but can also get very powerful. So just remember that JavaScript is is going to be available here, and it can be more available moving forward. Maybe a silly tip, but I'm maybe old school. I don't use a lot of emojis in my surveys, but I've noticed my colleagues do. Maybe it's something you consider in your professional surveys. They're really easy to add. If you're on a Mac, you hold down Control, Command, Spacebar, and then all the emojis come up, and you can select an emoji and immediately put one in your survey. And on Windows, it's the Windows logo key and a period will bring it up. But you can see here, like, thank you for being willing to take our survey, and it has a, you know, a kind of a prayer, thank you, hands. And then, you know, vacations, the vacation survey, just a little more fun when you have an umbrella and a beach. One thing maybe you might consider is you can also put these emojis in the names of your surveys. And maybe this could help you. This is just brainstorm. Maybe this could help you kind of organize a little bit better the surveys. Maybe a certain group of them, you all have the same emoji. Speaking of that, right now, there's just a long list of surveys. We do plan on making those, you know, so you can put them into folders and organize all your surveys a little bit better. That's coming in the future. This slide is just about custom CSS is coming soon, but I actually have a trick on how to do it now. So if you need something, a little something that we don't have yet, just send me an email and I can take care of it. For example, we can remove the progress bar if you want it gone by injecting a little bit of hidden CSS. This slide is just talking about a lot of the things that we've done in the past that you might not know about. Let me jump to my live demo here to show you those real quick. So if I can remember them all, remember that we do have this beautiful help documentation area. Skylar has helped build this, and it's just gorgeous, very, very well done, and it has these screenshots with, like, you know, these yellow boxes and stuff. It's just gorgeous. And so there's a really great help manual. There's videos in there as well. They might want to check out. I did want to make sure that the academics that are on the call, and maybe non-academics would be interested in this as well. But this feature of being able to copy the survey with the data and give it to your students. So there's a button here, the collaborate button. By the way, you can add collaborators to help you build the survey. But there's also this send a copy tab here. And you can click this copy link. And then anybody you give this link to, when they click it, your survey will be copied into their account along with the data. So if you're presenting to, you know, 30 students and you want them all to have like a sample survey they can play around with, then you can build that sample survey and then send them all out a link, and they get all their own individual copies of it so they can play around with it without clobbering, you know, each other. And so great in the classroom, and, you know, might have other use as well. If you want to send us a copy of your survey to debug or something, this is just a great little button here. Let's see, what else did I have on there? Collaboration, copy survey. Yeah, just so you know, there's this variable manager thing here. Very common to pass in a unique ID, but remember to check unique ID. And the unique ID basically allows respondents to restart where they left off. And so you can pass in a unique ID, and then if they click the link tomorrow, they will be taken to where they left off. And also what's cool about Discover is when we export the data, this unique ID basically is the unique identifier in the first column of all the data that you export, which is really, really nice. Okay, let's see. Yeah, just reminding you that another great feature of Discover is under settings, languages. So you can say program the survey in your native language, like English, and then you can export it out to Excel. And then you can add, in Excel, in the columns, you can add a language translation for as many languages as you want. and then you import that Excel spreadsheet, and all languages come into one survey. This is something that has been difficult in our other software in the past, but it's a breeze here to put multiple languages into one survey. What was my last one? Oh, just a reminder that if you click on data and records over here on the left, we do have data cleaning. There's some improvements we can make here, but if you want to remove a bunch of data and you have their record IDs, you can enter them in here, and these records will be basically removed from the data set, but not permanently deleted. In this example, I've removed 68 records, and I can restore them if I wanted to. So just a reminder on data cleaning. Okay. Woo. So let's have a discussion. We have a few minutes left. Was hoping to allow people to talk a little bit and kind of address some of these items, if you wouldn't mind. So Skylar, any questions before we go into the discussion part?
We just have one from Lou. He's asking, what is the status of SPSS export?
On our list, not work that's being planned immediately, but something that I would hope we could get to in the coming year.
Perfect. That's all we have for now.
Okay, so this might require some of you to be brave, but go ahead and be brave and be honest and open. It's fine. What do you like most about Discover? What is most frustrating? We want to hear that. What would you like to see us work on next? I'm sure there's plenty of things we didn't talk about. We only have so much time in Q4, but what would you really like to see us work on next? Maybe how would you change our plans? And what would it take? Again, a lot of this is a longer discussion, and please feel free to email me on some of these, but what do we need to do to Discover so that you can use it for all your survey needs? Maybe not just Conjoint and MaxDiff, but for everything. Okay.
Yeah, we first have a question from Peter.
Yeah,
Hey,
not
Peter.
a question. I want to tell you, great that you have a European location in future. Then we can really use it. And the other thing what I really like is that you have JavaScript and CSS in the future. So that's one of the main things we need in each study to program a little bit by our own. So this is really great.
Peter, great to hear from you. Love
Yeah.
your voice. Miss hanging out with you. How's Germany?
It's very good. So then, yeah, I think this is the right direction for this software to get more things in. That you can customize it a little bit more if you are used to have Lighthouse and then such features.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that. I was a little bit nervous about prioritizing custom JavaScript, but
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to get in there earlier than later, so it becomes part of the personality of Discover.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah, we have another question from Jeff.
I told you you're going to want to permanently mute me.
No, you're good.
I just got to thinking when you mentioned the future tense of being able to make some calculations in the programming that I would do ordinarily in Excel now. And two examples of research I do. One is financial well-being, where people answer a series of questions and then it computes to a financial well-being indicator. And the other is investment risk tolerance. And again, you take the series of questions and it gives me an idea of where you fall in a particular scale. Would there be any thought of making that something that would calculate and could provide the person taking the survey the conclusion? Yeah. Because that's something I've been looking at kind of elsewhere because I hadn't.
Yeah,
hadn't thought about software doing it or Sawtooth doing it.
like for sure. So what it is you set up a variable called X, whatever, my special variable. And then you run your JavaScript calculations. It then assigns to that variable. When you assign it to that variable, it is now as if the respondent answered that way. You could show it back to the screen. you can use it in skip logic, and you can use it in analysis.
Because I get that question from people who take the survey saying, well, hey, I took the financial well-being questions, but I'd really like to know what my financial well-being score is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that'd be really handy to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's on its way, which I'm excited about.
Perfect.
Great. And then we have another hand raised from Hassan.
Hassan, how's it going?
Yeah, thank you. Good. How are you?
Good.
So one thing looking ahead that I think would be really helpful for our team is more robust branching, and that kind of goes in a few different ways. But one example, one of my sister teams actually does these really large scale surveys where they have different sections, and they will randomly show different sections to different people. That's a basic example of it. Sometimes I do more complicated stuff by only showing specific questions to certain people, or a random subset, things like that. So just wondering if there are plans for that in the future.
Yes. So we refer to this feature as block randomization. Does that sound right?
Yes. I've used that term before.
We believe that that's a really important one. Although we need to get a little bit more input from our users. But I have that penciled in for Q1 next year, of doing a robust block randomization.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Hassan. Anyone else?
We don't have any other hand. Oh, John. Oh, just a couple one up. John?
Yeah, a quick question on the ranking question. You had asked, do we use it more frequently to rank the top 3 out of 10 or rank the entire list?
Yeah.
Another option here is, would it be possible to rank the top 3 and the bottom 3 out of a list?
Not currently in our plans. You could ask the question twice. The first time, rank your top 3. The next screen comes up, now rank your bottom 3.
Yeah. Would there be any way to enforce logic, or would that have to be scripted at the back end in a data cleaning step?
For that example I just described, where rank your top 3, rank your bottom 3?
Yeah, exactly.
If you do that in separate questions, no, that all works fine. You'll need that top end feature that we're really close to releasing, maybe in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Great. We have another hand from Sean.
Hi, Justin. Thanks for
Hi,
walking
Sean.
us through
How's
this.
it going?
Going all right. How are you?
Bragushi, inside joke.
Yes, indeed. So my whole team, myself, we really enjoy using Lighthouse and Sawtooth in general for quantitative insights, but oftentimes we include qualitative open-end questions, and analyzing that can be difficult. I was wondering if in Discover, there's been any thought to increasing the power of analyzing qualitative and open-end, perhaps sentiment analysis, or even I've seen with the emergence of OpenAI and ChatGPT, other platforms, using the open-end responses as where these OpenAI tools are mining data from.
Yeah, great question. We've actually done research on that. As part of our sprint work, we will do research as well. At the same time, there's research projects going on, and we've dug into that. So definitely a possibility. It's not in our immediate plans, but something that I could see possibility for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other hands. And it is 11.
Yeah, it's time. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I wish you were all in the same room with me, but I'm available. I wanted to say on this last slide, I like to talk. So send me an email. We can set up a virtual meeting and just really understand your needs so we can build the right product for you. With that, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Skyra, for the help, and we will talk later.